Howdy folks, hope you're having a good weekend. Welcome to Casual Saturday. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Before we get started, however, I feel it's only fair to warn everybody that certain parts of the gameplay in this game are kind of disturbing. So if you're easily... what's the right way to put this? If you don't like seeing realistic depictions of mental illness and suffering, you might want to think about skipping today's video, because that's something that Hellblade does in a way that I haven't seen any other game do. One other thing I'd recommend before we get started is that if you do have the facility to watch today's Casual Saturday video with headphones, then you pause the video now, plug your headphones in and use them, because the sound design in this game really is excellent. Of course, I also realise that a lot of people watch my videos on their mobile devices and they may not have headphones available, in which case I've also enabled subtitles. So bearing that in mind, let's get this show on the road. The basic background for this story is that the character that you play, Senua, is a Celt, living on the Orkney Islands. And it's a matter of recorded historical fact that the Celtic population of the Orkneys were wiped out by raiders from Scandinavia, the Vikings. Your character, Senua, is the last surviving Celt in the aftermath of the Viking onslaught. And as the game begins, she's on a journey into her own little heart of darkness to save the soul of her lover, who was sacrificed by the Vikings to Hela, the Norse goddess of the underworld. She has to journey into Hell to bargain for the soul of her lover. The problem is, Senua's crazy. Her psychoses manifest as hallucinations, and she hears voices.
He can feel her coming closer. She's getting They're watching. This is a journey deep into darkness. There will be no more stories after this one.
The game developers have taken advice from mental health experts in order to depict Senua's psychosis in as accurate a manner as possible. The hallucinations that she sees and the voices that she hears. And that's actually... it serves to drive the plot forward, because they're also trying to make a game that's historically realistic. Senua sees, hears, feels and touches fantastic things. She sees magic. She sees monsters. There is no real magic, there are no real monsters. But because Senua's psychosis, her hallucinations, the things that she sees, hears and feels are completely real to her, you can have magic and living, breathing mythology in the game from her perspective, while still keeping things historically realistic. Because you never know whether or not what Senua is seeing is really there, or it's all just in her mind.
What is she looking at? What is she leaving behind? I know what she's thinking. I hear her thoughts. It's not too late to get into the boat and go back. No one will judge her. No one will ever know. Oh, she heard us. There's no going back. You can't do it. Senua pushes away a world that conspired to cause so much suffering. There's nothing to go back to, and worse to look forward to. Why don't you join us? Maybe you too have a part to play in this story.
It's actually a very, very clever way of introducing fantastic elements into something that's based and grounded in reality.
Focus. Look closer. Look. Use your eyes. Why isn't she looking closer? She needs to look closer. Focus.
Do not forget my stories, Senua. Because your darkness comes from hell, and your fate lies there. They say the burning of a corpse will take you straight to Hela's gate, but gods and the living will follow this path. You must leave the Isles of Orkney across the eastern sea and find a road that leads north and down through deep, dark valleys. After 9 nights of riding, you will follow a great river and will find a bridge covered in gold. The path to Helheim goes from there, across the River of Knives that flows from the dark world of Niflheim.
Also, it doesn't hurt that the graphics are spectacularly pretty.
Not this time.
Can you see it?
The land of mist and fog.
He's in there.
The old fool was right.
Is he?
What was it he said? The river of knives across which lies the halls of hell. The place they call Helheim.
He's lost. He's lost.
Where are you? I hear you.
He's there, you know it.
There's no doubt about
He's
it.
lost.
The source of the darkness is in Helheim,
You'll never find him. They're called
and the goddess Hela holds his soul there. Come. Her dear beloved, Dillian.
So, your character Senua is a mentally ill Celt who's attempting to venture into Viking hell in order to save the soul of her lover. How exactly are we going to do that? Well, we're going to solve puzzles and we're going to fight monsters, which may or may not be real.
It's not going to hurt. It's going to hurt you. It won't. It's dangerous.
Don't kill me. I'm not one of them.
Don't listen.
I was just hiding. I find I live longer that way.
Don't listen.
I'll never let the bastards catch me again. Never! Wait, who are you?
It's just a memory.
Drew? Is that you?
Around you now.
For my tales of the Northmen, they call me Druth. A liar.
He's lost.
An old fool. Truth is my truth.
It's good to see you again. You kept your vow.
Guide you in this life and the next. I will tell you my stories of hell, if I may walk with you.
Tell me your stories again, old friend. I'm listening.
The runes seal the gates to hell. Focus your inner eye, and you too will see what's hidden in plain sight.
Look really clearly.
I can see one.
Hold it in your mind's eye. Find one like it to open the gate.
This is the first time you come across one of these illusion puzzles, and so this is a very, very basic example of what it is that you have to do in order to progress past one of these locked gates. In this case, you're just looking for another one of these Viking runes which you can use to focus on the gate, open it, and move on. They're going to get a bit more complicated.
And the gate will open.
The
gate is open. Go through the gate. Go through it.
It's dangerous.
Follow it. What's behind the gate?
Where will it take? It works!
I spent 6 years enslaved in hell. But I watched the Northmen. Learned their ways.
I know you did.
You listened when everyone else laughed. My people paid a heavy price. Carry my stories with you, and together we will make the Northmen feel our fury.
Another voice joins us. She once tried to make them go away. Pretend they weren't real. But what good is that? When we are always here. I guess it's the same with heights. You can stand on the edge, pretend it's going to be okay. But you know that death is near, waiting for you to make that little slip. You can't just wish things away.
At regular intervals throughout the game, you're going to come across these rune stones, and through these rune stones, your imaginary companion in your head is going to fill you in on the relevant parts of Norse mythology that are pertinent to your quest. You don't have to activate each of the rune stones, you're completely at liberty to walk past them and ignore them all, but if you're interested in Norse mythology, they're probably worth checking out. Shortly afterwards we get our first introduction into Hellblade's combat system. And this is where things take a turn for the slightly disturbing.
Stay back. Look at it. You have to open it.
The gate to Helheim divides the living from the dead. Is that the face of Hela herself? The half-rotten goddess that rules over Helheim. Whatever horrors lie behind that door, she must find him. Shh. Someone's here. vision of what's to come. Poor Senua. The darkness does not bargain. It does not reason. It is rot. And now it has taken hold. It will spread towards her head, the seat of the soul, until there is nothing left of her. All of her suffering will have been for nothing. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, I did warn you. So, each time you fail, the rot in your arm is going to grow. And if it reaches your brain, it's game over. There's no save feature in Hellblade. There's an autosave, but it also saves the progress of the rot. So if you're not particularly good at combat, you're probably never going to see the end of the game. Luckily, the combat system is fairly simple, although that's also one of the downsides of the game. But I'll come onto that in more detail in a moment.
The hardest battles are fought in the mind. That is what Dillian taught her. With every defeat, the dark rot will grow and soon it will take her soul. But for now, at least, she still has control of her mind. And she will fulfill her vow, whatever the cost.
He's not right.
Listen to me, Senua. The goddess Hela lies behind the gate to Helheim. To open the gate, you must first face the gods that guard it. The god of fire, Surt, and the god of illusion, Valravn. Spill their blood to open the gate to Helheim and enter the land of the dead.
Before we get onto the combat system, however, let's just talk about these puzzles, since that's basically what we're going to be doing next. We saw a basic example of how the puzzle system works earlier on, and it was a very, very basic example. What we're about to see here isn't that much more complicated, but it does introduce a new element. We need to get through that gate.
Illusion hides the path to Valravn. Don't trust your eyes. Find another way to see the truth.
Find another way to see the truth. What is he talking about? Okay, well, let's not stand here forever admiring the pretty graphics. Here's an example, again, a pretty basic one, of how the illusion puzzles work. You can see the gate that we have to go through over there. It's just solid rock. Or it is in this version of reality. But if we observe it through this, it's open. It's closed. And it's open. And if we now pass through the arch in this Viking totem, we're in the version of reality where that rock wall isn't there, and we can progress to the next stage. And that is a basic primer as to how the illusion puzzles are going to work. Naturally, they're going to get a little more complicated than that. Now then, how about that combat? If, like me, you're not particularly adept at melee combat and third-person perspective games, you might think that you're going to have a bit of a problem with Hellblade. You really don't have an awful lot to worry about. The combat controls are very, very basic. WASD are your movement keys. You attack using the left mouse button for a quick attack and the right mouse button for a power attack, and then hold down a direction key and tap space to dodge. And it's as simple as that.
End it now. This is nearly the end. Don't let them surround you. Don't let them get behind you.
So this is a good thing and a bad thing. Some of the gates require you to solve illusion puzzles in order to get past them, and others, like this one, require that you defeat the gate guardians in order to progress. And if you're crap at third-person perspective melee combat like me, it shouldn't hold you back. But the fights can get kind of repetitive. In fact, they only get more challenging by the game throwing more than one gate guardian at you at the same time. Other than that, they can get kind of samey after a while. Luckily, the puzzles, at least, are still pretty good.
Valravan's power of illusion comes from ravens. Align the ravens to break his magic seal.
Show me what you have seen, Truth.
Look how much it's changed. It's all different now.
So what we have to do here is get to a position where the ravens up there are going to be aligned in such a manner that they're going to duplicate that particular sigil over the gate, and that's going to unlock it. Only it seems that in order to do that, we're going to have to be up on that platform. And we can't climb up from here. So how's this going to work? Well, the illusion puzzle that we solved earlier is the clue. Remember, there are usually two different versions of reality. One in which that's a blank stone wall, and one, as seen through the arch, where there's a breach in the wall that we can use to climb up here and get to a position from which we can align the ravens and get that gate opened. So at this point I'm thinking, well, this isn't too bad. I mean, the puzzles seem fairly straightforward. Just line up the ravens, unlock the sigil, get through the gate. And that's when it decided it was going to throw me a bit of a curveball. Right, align the three ravens, but which three ravens? There are dozens of them, so I'm going to have to find a reality where there are only three ravens, and I'm going to have to do that by getting up there to where the game gave me the hint that I need to look through those arches where Valravan is manifested in order to find the reality where only three ravens exist. But I can't get up there in the version of reality that I'm currently in. If I step through this arch, that wall up ahead is breached, so that's obviously somewhere I need to go. But it isn't quite as simple as that. Here's the breach in the wall through the second version of reality, and Valravan is up on the wall. So we're going to climb up here, view the world through his portal, and see what's changed. Except I can't, because in this second version of reality there's a breach in the wall, which means I can't climb across the top of the wall to get to that portal. Huh. Well, I've obviously missed something. Next to the ladder there's a gate which only opens from the inside, so, well, since I'm here I'll release the locking mechanism on the gate and push it open. None of this is helping me get up on top of the wall, however. I go looking around the wall, and back in the trench that runs alongside the side of the wall I notice that at the rear there is another totem arch, so I may as well see what's different through here. No obvious way to get up from this side of the arch. Let's have a look. And if there's something changed, I can't tell what it is. Well, we'll go through it anyway because it's definitely changed something, even if I can't see what it is that's changed from that perspective. And something has in fact changed, although it's not helping me get any closer to the top of the wall, but what it's done is it's opened up a secret area with another runestone that relates another piece of Norse mythology. So it's all very interesting, but it's not getting me any closer to the top of that wall. So I decided to come back to that one later and go and investigate the other manifestation of Valravan on the other side of the area, and that's when I... Is this another one of those totem arches? Let's have a look and see what's different. Was that bridge there a moment ago? No, it wasn't. Okay, so now we have a third version of reality, one in which there's a breach in the wall and a bridge over the trench. But is the bridge over the trench the only thing that's changed? Well, since I've got a nice handy bridge now to get over the trench and I don't have to take the long way around, we can go and have a quick look. And, well, if anything else has changed, it's not going to be of immediate help. I'm still no closer to getting to the top of the wall. So now we're in a third version of reality, one with this bridge and a breach in the wall. Well, anyway, there were two manifestations of Valravan indicating vision portals that I'm going to need to use, and one of them is up there. Hang on a second. No, I thought that might give me a bridge. What has changed? Oh wait, I see it. Yes. It has given me a bridge, it's just not where I was expecting it to be. So, reality number 4. It's getting kind of hard to keep track. So, we're going to wander around here and climb up over the bridge that we just created. And see where this takes us. Nearly there. Or are we? No, there's nothing actually up here, but it's definitely served some kind of purpose. That's where we need to be. So how are we going to get up there? Is it going to be as simple as just walking up there through this new 4th version of the world? I'd be kind of surprised if it was. This one's proved to be pretty tricky so far. Well, then again, it might be. You never know your luck. There's a ladder. And yes, it is actually that simple. Okay. And bingo. Half the ravens are gone.
The ravens. They've gone. They've gone. No. Half of them have gone. They've gone. Some are still there. But where? Some are still there. Mal Raven's helping. He's not helping.
Alright, so we're halfway there. Still have to get on top of the first wall in order to look through the first vision portal and get rid of the other half of the ravens, which hopefully is going to leave just the 3 that I need to activate the sigil on the gate I need to get through. But I'm still no closer to getting there. Although, well, I don't have to go the long way around. I can drop this bridge from this side. The solution was actually... It was actually fairly simple, but I didn't see it. No pun intended. If you go back to what the world was like before I started messing around with the portals and the archers, I was living in a reality where the wall was 100% intact, so I couldn't get through. But because the wall was intact, if I somehow managed to get in, I could walk across the top of the wall to get to the portal. I then entered a version of reality where this door was closed, but there was a breach in the wall. So I was able to enter the breach in the wall and open that door from the inside. If I were to go back to the original portal and look at a version of the world where this wall is intact and I can actually get across the top of it, will that door still be open? Well, I'm not getting anywhere anytime soon without going back and giving it a try. So here we are. There's the first arch that I looked through, and there's the wall intact, right the way it was back in the beginning. Now, is this a 5th version of reality where the gate is open and the wall is intact, or are we back in the first version of reality? Nope, it's a 5th version of reality. The gate is open. So now I should be able to go inside, up this ramp, up the ladder, across the top of the now fully intact wall, or mostly intact, and get to the second portal. And hopefully, looking through here should remove almost all the ravens.
She did it. There's three. There's three. Where have they gone? She did it, but what does it mean?
And with just 3 ravens remaining, I can now get to the position where I need to be to line them all up to create the sigil that will break the seal on the next gate. Puzzle complete. And there's plenty more where that one came from. And that is Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice.
Yeah.
A very, very brave game dealing with mental illness the way it does.
Biding its time.
But I like it. The graphics are gorgeous, the puzzles are interesting, the combat is a little repetitive. It does get kind of samey after a while, but on the whole, I do think this is a good game. If you agree and you think this is the sort of thing you might like to play, I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to ruin it all for you. But it is available on Steam, and at half the price of certain big budget Activision and Electronic Arts titles that are stealing all the headlines at the moment. This only cost me $24.99, so whatever the equivalent of that is in your own currency. And that's it for Casual Saturday. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you have a great weekend, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.